Making your way through work Monday takes everything you got. Then Monday night rolls around and you realize there's a shot. You're only 10 points away. All those times when your team had no fight, they're just so gosh darn frail. Then your star quarterback let another deep ball sail, and your third round pick bet on his team. Then go check out our streets where everybody knows your pain, and they listen to complaints. You wanna be where you can see our bodies bring you no shame. You wanna go where everybody knows your pain.
Welcome into another edition of the Dad Bod Fantasy Squad. I'm Rob, and I'm here with the one and only Mr. Mudcat Cody. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, my man. I am excited.
Yes, we are. We are super excited. As
Mock
you guys
draft
can see,
season, it means fantasy season is officially here. We are in full gear.
It's here, baby. It's here. It's pumping. These are the good ones. These are the ones we want to talk about. This is a just regular 12-team, one quarterback PPR mock draft. Got a bunch of random people in here, a lot of friends, and a lot of just kind of random people. So this should be a very good kind of idea of what to expect coming up. Cody, where are you slotted?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I'm slotted in the 11 hole. I purposely picked this spot because Mario and I have talked this a little bit. I want to test something out. Mario and I talked about kind of the death of the running back position in fantasy football, and that might be a little dramatic, but everybody's in on wide receivers this year, and we see really, really good running backs get pushed down. And when I look at it, I still have some issues with these, second tier running backs, these RB2s. I just don't love them. I think there's a ton of risk. And so I want to test a draft where I go old school and focus on the running back position and see what it looks like. Not saying I'm totally dedicated to running back, depending what's there, but I put myself in a spot where running backs at the 3-4 turn. And so I want to see what it looks like. I want to see what my receivers look like if I go the old school way and draft some running back. So I'm interested because,
yeah, dude.
I like going receiver when nobody likes going receiver. Maybe I should go running back when nobody wants to go running back.
I mean, that's a good way to kind of look at these. When everyone's going one way, you find the value in the other way, right? Like that's kind of a good way to go about it. I'm with you, especially in that, 10, 11, 12 spot. You can get some great value at these running backs, even though, I mean, if we're looking at it, Mario went Bijan at the 5 hole, which is very interesting to me. I don't see it. I think this is a huge.
He might be testing the same theory because he and I talked going running back.
I think this is a huge steal for me.
So what are you looking at here? I think you probably like
Travis
Kelce.
At. Travis Kelce.
Yep.
I think he is a locked and loaded top 5 this season. You get that positional advantage. Now I don't have to worry about tight end for the rest of the draft, really. I can wait for those final rounds. I usually hate going tight end in the first, second, third round. That's not my MO. But to get Kelce at the 8, I think it's a gross underestimation on the top 5 guys. Like for me, the top 5 guys are locked at JJ, Chase, Cooper Kupp, Travis Kelce. Like that's it. Maybe you can throw in McCaffrey there because he's such a stud in the PPR, but I'm locked in with Kelce going at 8. That's if he falls that deep. I think
you're right. So this is kind of what I was hoping here for. Yeah. Real quick for me, exactly where I wanted to fall. Jonathan Taylor, I know there's a little bit of talk about the ankle surgery over the offseason, but he is my RB3. And so if I can take my RB3 at the 11 hole, I'm going to do it.
Have him over Saquon.
I do.
I don't hate it, man. And then you can even double tap on Saquon here if he falls to you, which he might. We got Travis King.
It's interesting. I don't know if we're ready.
Travis King went AJ Brown there at 10. I mean, again, fantastic value. There you go. Okay.
But I'm okay with it. Here's why. because I like the running backs at both the 1-2 turn and the 3-4 turn. So I don't necessarily got to double up at running back here. I can go a guy that I think is still a stud wide receiver in Devontae Adams, and know that I'm going to like the running backs coming back to me. So I'm cool with it. I like it.
Yeah. Travis is in with the Saquon over JT. It's an interesting one this year, man. I love me some Saquon, but he's I don't want to say it's risky, but you never really know, man. He had that breakout rookie season, and then, he has those monster like first half of the year, and then we saw last year, right? He was like wide or RB 2 or 3 throughout the first half of the season, and then he kind of fell off. I'm going with a guy that I think is really going to come on this year, Nick Chubb.
Love it. That's a great spot to get Nick Chubb.
If I can get Kelsey and Nick Chubb here, yeah, my wide receivers might be a little weak, but Kelsey's a glorified wide receiver 1, right? So I get that. I get someone I think can become a RB1 this season if there's a little bit of an uptick in the pass game, which everyone's kind of expecting.
Yep.
Nick Chubb, Travis
17
Kelce
overall.
Start the draft.
17 overall for Nick Chubb. Oh, it's a beautiful spot.
I love it. I thought you were going to go Nick Chubb. I was nervous.
He was on the table. He was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I'm loving him. I like that. I like the Travis King's start. AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson, super high upside. Super high upside. You can have 2 top 5 receivers right there easily.
And doing the receiver load up, which we're going to see a ton this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that's going to be the MO, right?
Robbie. Quarterbacks are flying.
It's interesting, right? Like, this is what we've been seeing. This is what, Travis, on average, RBs miss just over 3 games. Yeah, that's a very true point, Hurricane Lane. You gotta be careful with the running backs, because you have to factor in that they're gonna miss a few games. It just is what it is. But if you get those positional advantages with the RB position, you're gonna win those weeks. And if they're healthy going into the playoffs, that's where you can really turn it on.
And not even just the injuries. You said this isn't totally true, but a wide receiver can get streaky from week to week. We see a stud have a good week, a down week. Running backs can get streaky over 3 or 4 games. They can hurt you a few games in a row sometimes, more so than a receiver, I feel like. And that's a little scary too.
Yeah, I agree with that, unless you get those studs, right?
Right.
Like, those studs should be locked and loaded. Like Nick Chubb, for me, I'm pretty confident he's going to be a top 10 back every single week, and I'm not going to have to worry about him. And he's one of those guys, like, yeah, he might miss a couple games this season, but he's never really too injury prone.
Yep.
So now I'm up here. I'm not loving
tough spot in the draft right here.
This is the tough spot. I'm not loving
right
the
after.
receivers.
Yeah, this is a tough spot.
I'm going to go with another guy that I think has the real possibility of being a top 10 back, Jahmyr Gibbs.
That's the one I was hoping for.
Yeah, that's a guy, again, I'm going with those PPR monsters that I think I'm going to get those positional advantages with. Jahmyr Gibbs has all the potential. We know what the, history is with top 15 backs taken in the draft, how they utilize them, how much work they're going to get. Yeah, he might not get 300 touches in the rush game. I'm not expecting that, but I can see 80 targets easily for this guy.
So I did an unpopular thing here. It was Aaron Jones and Gibbs for me, and I know people aren't going to like Jones maybe over ETN, and they wouldn't have liked him over Gibbs for sure. I don't think Kenneth Walker people are going to knock me on, but I don't know. Aaron Jones just gets it done every year. I'm not going to write him off until we see that happen with Dylan. And Dylan just hasn't been that hyper productive, and so I don't see it. Team wants to run a lot. Aaron Jones is a top 12 running back. So I landed 2 top 12 running backs and a top 5 receiver in my eyes.
100%. Travis, this is a great question. You guys don't worry about Gibbs sharing it with Monty the first half of the season until he emerges. For me, no.
Rushing. I just need the receiving work. I'm not worried
100%. He's going to get that work, especially those first 6 games while J-Mo's out. I think he's going to be utilizing that receiving game so much that for PPR, he's just going to be a monster.
I went the wide receiver 2 for the Minnesota Vikings with my 4th round pick.
Man, I like his start. I like Travis's start. He goes AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson, Calvin Ridley, Justin Fields, another guy that he has all the upside. He's swinging for upside with these guys. All 3 have super high upside. AJ Brown's probably the safest of the play. Garrett Wilson, again, top 5.
You're on the clock, right?
Upside. Yeah, I'm loving.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure you.
Oh shit.
Yeah. You got 4 seconds.
I'm gonna go Keenan.
Okay.
Keenan's a safe play, right? Like again, we saw him emerge. He was a top 5 wide receiver down the stretch of the season.
Yeah.
PPR monster. If all we know, right? If he can stay healthy, he's a top 12 talent in the NFL. Like, I like where I got him in the 4th. I'm not comfortable with him being my wide receiver 1, but there's a lot of things that we can do to try to shore up that wide receiver position.
You unintentionally did my theory of going a little running back heavy, seeing what your team looks like, and not even just running back, but swerving off of the wide receiver craze. So I know it wasn't your intention. It was kind of where players fell, but I like your team a lot. I like my wide receiver 1 better. I'm just saying, but
that's where Nick Chubb. For sure, 100% for sure he is. For me, that he is one of the most efficient guys in the league, obviously. But Nick Chubb is just going. There's nobody there. There's nobody behind him unless they bring in somebody. But even if they do, like, I'm still not worried about anybody right now that they can bring in minus Dalvin Cook. And
he's got a more promised workload than Aaron Jones. The nice part about Aaron Jones is he doesn't need 275 carries to get it done.
100%.
Let's take a look at old Mario's team here. Interesting. I like it a lot. He went Alexander Madison. And I actually think I'm at a point I might take Madison over Mixon, which I know is probably unpopular. What do you think about Madison there?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, man. I think Madison, again, he's like an upside play, right? We don't know what to
He hasn't been hyper effective. That's all I want to say. You can go ahead.
Yeah, Mario's got this theory that he's one of those players that's going to be
needs some burn.
He needs the touches, like, I mean, dude, if you watch the Browns, with Nick Chubb, he's one of those guys that he'll just kind of beat the defense down, and then in the second half of the games, that's where he really breaks off, like a 50-yard run, those kind of things.
Right.
Super into him this season.
Yep.
I was hoping DJ Moore would follow me right there.
Be careful. I need a receiver. Don't go getting too grabby here on somebody I want.
Yeah, I got to go with one guy that I have I got a ton of love for Drake London this season. As long as we get a little bit better quarterback play than we saw last year with Marcus Mariota, I think they're going to throw the ball a little bit more. Even with Bijan there, I think they're going to throw the ball a little bit more.
Yep.
And he has all the talent in the world. He can be a really, really good receiver in the league. Just needs to get some passes on target, and he could be really great.
Yep.
And to get him in the 5th. Yeah, to get him in the 5th, I love it.
Easy pick here for me. Chris Godwin is a small tier above. Now, I'm not saying it's like a massive, but when I'm looking at Pittman and the QB play we expect there, Ayuk and with Samuel there and some of the uncertainty, Hollywood Brown and his QB uncertainty, I know Chris Godwin has the QB uncertainty too, but he's a guy that's got it done for a long time. If I'm going to load up at running back and tight end like I did, and Chris Godwin's my wide receiver too, I'm comfy. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love how your team's kind of coming together, Cody.
So here's an interesting spot. I want to talk this quick. I would traditionally always want to have a receiver at my flex. But as I look at this board and I'm trying to fill my flex position, and you tell me it's Ayuk, Hollywood, or Mike Williams, or DeAndre Swift, Dalvin Cook, Cam Akers, James Conner.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a strong argument to be made that those running backs are potentially just as competitive as a flex play.
Yeah, they are.
And I think
There's some receivers that you name that I'm really
risky.
into.
Super risky.
Yes.
But Dalvin I think I'm going to let it fly.
That's a great, we know what's going on. He's going to the Jets today. So something could come of that. Now, here's an interesting spot for me, right? I have Kelsey. He was my tight end, a high tight end off the board. I have a quarterback that I really, really like here. I don't want to since I use the capital on a tight end, I don't want to come double tap on a quarterback. So I'm going to go with someone that.
But we're in the 6th round. It's not early at this point.
Oh, son of a. I was going with Marquise Brown. So yeah, I want Marquise Brown. I was kind of talked into him we had some chats over the weekend. Marquise Brown was hyper effective when it was his show, right? When DeAndre Hopkins was suspended last year, and Kyler Murray, by all accounts, should be healthy within the first month of the season. If they can get on the same page, he's got wide receiver 1 upside.
Yep. I just want to know, a lot of people, when I went Dalvin there, Cam Akers actually wasn't my second choice. It was James Conner. James Conner has been way more productive as a fantasy player than people give him credit. I like
Oh
that pick
yeah,
for Drake.
he is one of the most underrated fantasy players of all time. It's not sexy. It's not something we like to see, and it's very inconsistent. Like that, I think that might be the bigger issue with him. It comes in waves, and you got to hit the right wave.
To what you're saying, I'm going to butcher exactly what the statistic was or what the measurable was. But second half of last season, he was like a top 4 running back.
Yeah, he was. We were going through that the other day. Back half, I think it was the last 7 weeks or something. He was a top
2 or 3,
5 in fantasy points per game. He killed it down the back half of the stretch.
Yep.
Cody, how's your team shaping up here?
I wish I could go back and have James Conner instead of Cook, if I'm being honest. I got a little sucked in by the name, but otherwise, I like how it looks going running back heavy and tight end heavy. You know, I took 2 running backs and a tight end in the first 4 rounds, and I don't feel like I sacrificed that much at receiver. Like if you said, "Hey, I've got Devontae Adams and Chris Godwin," it's fine. I'm not saying it's going to compete with somebody that took, you know, AJ Brown and Garrett Wilson or Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle or whatever it is. But I think I'm totally fine at receiver, and I think I'm getting pretty nice elsewhere.
Yeah. No, Travis, this is a great point, and this is something I say I'm 100% with you. He's saying that he doesn't like drafting players from teams that aren't going to score a lot, and that's why I had some hesitation with Marquise Brown, to be 100% honest with you, because it's a tough one, man. It's one of those players that you don't, it's the upside's there. It's just the touchdowns aren't going to come if the team's not good. Now, this is another spot I'm super interested in. I have 3 wide receivers I'm comfortable with. I'm going to swing for some upside. Jordan Addison. 7th, it might be a little bit of a stretch here.
Well, he's the wide receiver 3 behind Hawkinson.
Yeah. Until he's that wide receiver 2. We know all the metrics.
Ooh, baby. Who have I been hyping for the last week?
Go ahead, hit it. I was going to take him, but I wanted
George Pickens. Welcome to the squad. Number 1 wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, I was going to take him, but I wanted you to have him. And I'm super comfortable with Jordan Addison. I think it's a swing for upside, and he's my 4th receiver, so I'm very comfortable with that spot. We know all those metrics with how many routes run from Thielen. Like he has, if he gets those routes and gets, he should be a lot better than what Thielen was last year. Kirk Cousins, Kirk's not a sexy name, but the dude just produces really good fantasy options.
He does.
If I can, I'm not expecting it the first half of the season. If Addison comes on that back half, I'm loving it.
I know we talked about, not investing in quarterback if you invested in tight end. I invested a little less with Hawkinson. But I'm standing here looking at 2 of my top 12 quarterbacks being left in Deshaun Watson and Dak Prescott. So I'm going to go ahead and grab one. I like some of those guys in the early teens, but 8th round, if I can get one of my, QB1s, I feel good about it.
Yeah, that was the guy out. Hoping? That's who I was targeting with my next pick.
You'll get Dak Daddy. Don't worry about it. Don't you worry about it, Bobby.
Dak Daddy.
Is Dak Daddy a thing, or did I make that up?
I think it's a thing now, so we're gonna roll with it.
Here's the thing: it should be Daddy Dak, but Dak Daddy just rolls better.
Yeah, let's see who we got here. Evan Ingram just went off the board, a guy that I love. Yeah, I'm gonna go Dak. I think I'm still in on Dak. Me and you were both kind of the high guys in the group of thinking Dak's gonna be really good. So
all he's ever done is be a top 12 QB when he's healthy.
If I can get him here in the 8th, again, with how my team is kind of shaping up, I'm loving where I'm at right now.
Yep, I agree. I like both our teams.
Yeah, I do too, honestly. It was kind of rough to start with the tight end running back. It was tough for me, like, mentally to get over that hurdle, but I'm really liking how it's shaping out.
The one thing I'll say, and I think this is just a reality, I was fortunate to grab one of what I still consider a stud wide receiver in the 2nd. And I think there could be something to that, even if you want to focus on running back. Because not saying your receivers don't have a ton of upside, because they do. But there's also a chance that you only have 1 wide receiver 2. You know what I mean?
You're right.
And no wide receiver 1. And so I think
a lot of question marks.
This isn't a bad thing about your team necessarily. I just think there's a lot of risk there at receiver when you don't get somebody in those first
Yeah, I
What do
mean,
you
by
reckon?
all accounts, Drake London, Marquise Brown, Addison, they're all question marks, right?
Yep.
And Keenan Allen is
Healthy.
every year a question mark with
Yeah.
health. So
Yeah.
I could, we could be going into week 6 and I'm looking at Jordan Addison as my wide receiver 1.
Jahmyr Gibbs, maybe.
So now I'm back up. Let's see who's on the board. Okay. I'm going to go with another upside play here for my running back 3, Rashad Penny.
Yeah.
Again, I'm going real risky with the health concerns, but if he gets those, even if he's just the running back in between the 20s, which is kind of what I'm anticipating on this offense,
Right.
I still think there's some great value with how good he can be with the ball. Talk about
Yep.
efficiency when running the ball and healthy. He's one of the best we've seen in a long time.
This is a spot of the draft I do not like because we're not
No, it's
to
weird.
my sleepers. That's not to my like shoot for the moon. So I feel like I still need to take players that matter to my team, but I see nobody that I think is going to matter to my team. And so it feels a little wasted.
Yeah. Yeah, these are some weird picks. He says OBJ to the moon, Travis. Hey, as a Browns fan, I saw what went down here. If he can stay healthy, he's good. He's another question mark with the health. He did
Yep.
come out. What was weird, Cody, we were talking about it the other day. He came out and said this is going to be his last season. He said he's putting it all on the table, and this is going to be his last run, and hopefully he can kind of hit lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then when you go and another thing that I'm going to start doing a lot more, I was going to talk to the guys and see if we can kind of come up with some cool way to do this for the podcast. If you go and you look at kind of what Vegas does with statting these players out, he's statted out for like 600 yards, which is not a great
Mm-mm.
look.
Nope. No, it's not. Well, and I think, I'm staring. I've been looking at, Zay. I was looking at Zay when I drafted Sutton because I didn't really want Sutton, but that's just a crowded wide receiver room now. I'm not sure any of them are any good anymore, but it's just crowded. And so
Yeah.
somebody's probably going to emerge out of there. Somebody could emerge out of there, but I don't have a pulse on who it's going to be between
Yeah.
Bateman, Zay, and OBJ, honestly.
You know what's funny is we had on he was great, and then he tore his ACL again. That's the only concern, man. We had Hutchinson Brown on. It's coming out. It'll be released in a little bit, but we had him on to talk to the Baltimore Ravens. He brought up a really good point when we were talking these receivers. He said, "Yeah, we want to look at these guys and say who's going to be the guy, who's going to emerge out of this wide receiver room. What if this wide receiver room is how Kansas City's wide receiver room has been the past few seasons, where there's really nobody. You're going to get a couple games here and there from all of them, but there might not really be a reliable fantasy football option out of that wide receiver room."
And I think that's very possible. And really, it's not an indictment on those players because I actually think they're all okay receivers. We don't know about Zay, and we think OBJ could have a little something. Bateman's still young, who knows? But I think they're all okay players. It's just a busy room with a team that isn't going to throw for 4,500 yards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bateman can't stay healthy, and Lamar requested Odell. 100%. Getting him there in the 9th, that's a swing. Again, I love the upside. These are the
Agreed.
These are the rounds I'm taking those upside swings. I don't want to say
I took Jameson
I want
Williams
someone
last round. Same thing. Yeah, I'm swinging.
And that's why I went for Aaron Rodgers with my last pick, because again, he's somebody that
doubling up at QB of those borderline top 12 guys. That's an interesting theory.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to get 2 of them. I want to feel safe there.
Yeah.
And then another swing, Greg Dulcich. He's someone we've been talking about a ton this offseason, that he has, if he gets the work, he's going to be on the field a ton. His underlying metrics were really positive last season. He can get into that top 12 category. And for me, that's a really it's a really comfortable tight end 2 for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cody, what are you thinking here next?
Well,
little wide receiver run.
A wide receiver run because I was thin there, but I honestly I'd like some running back depth, but it's just a tough section of the draft to me.
These rounds are rough.
I went too early on Nico, but I think Nico offers a little more upside than some of these guys.
I don't think you did, man. I don't think you did. I like that pick there.
You're gonna hate this pick a lot, but I actually think he's a better football player than he gets credit, and I just want to see what happens.
Hey, Devin Singletary. Yeah, no, that's a in the 12th round, getting him there. We
Just
don't know
never
what to
know.
expect. There's, I'm a huge James Pierce stan, so it's tough for I don't love it for him, but I think there's nothing wrong with taking that upside swing again. Same with Raheem Mostert there at 12-3. Like
Agreed.
those are guys I like taking.
There's clear paths to upside, which I can't
100%.
say about some of these other running backs.
And that's why I went Kendra, right? I went Kendra
Yeah.
there. I think there's a path for him to be really utilized in this game, this team, especially if the team's not great, right? Like if they start losing some games, Alvin starts getting mad, they're going to want to put the rookie and see what they got, give him some run. If Alvin's suspended for a long time, which I don't think he will, I think it's going to be 2 to 4 games.
Yep.
But in those first couple weeks, like, let's see what the kid's got. Let's see if he can actually do it.
Right.
Let's run through Mario's team real quick. So we started off with Bijan Robinson at the 1.5. Then he went Amon-Ra at 2.8, T. Higgins, Alexander Madison, smoking Joe Burrow, even with the calf injury today. And then Dallas Goedert at the 6.8, Alvin Kamara 7.5, QJ 8.8. He took my dude Elijah Moore at 9.5, then Rashad Bateman, Sky Moore, again, a swing for the upside, which I don't hate.
Yep.
And then his all-time boy, Rashawn Johnson, at 12.8. So he's getting his guys.
Yeah, I like his start a ton because I think when you look at the classic setup, he's got an RB1 and an RB2 clearly to me. He's got a wide receiver 1 and a wide receiver 2 clearly. And both the wide receiver 2 and running back 2, there's a world where they could reach up to that nearing top 12. And so I think he covered those positions well and is comfortable with them, and also has upside to have a really nice and a great price on Joe Burrow too.
For sure. Let's do the 101. Cody, you want to do that while I am?
Yeah. What'd you say though? Do what now?
The number. Pick one team. Pick one team review.
Gotcha. Yep. So we got, what is a catch? We got obviously JJ first overall. Josh Jacobs, 2-3 turn, which I like that 2-3 turn pick of Josh Jacobs a lot. I know there's a ton of uncertainty right now, but it's really a juicy spot for a guy that was such a productive RB last year. Why don't you take over from there, Robbie?
Where'd you stop Judy?
Josh Jacobs. So Mark Andrews.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So JJ, Josh Jacobs. Then he went Mark Andrews. Again, getting Andrews at the 3 turn. That's fantastic value. He's going to get 130 targets. Then you're going Jay Herb, who I think could be a top 3 QB this season. Jerry Jeudy, somebody I'm really liking this year. Christian Kirk, he's one of my guys this season. I think he's going to have another. Yeah, I really like this team, to be honest with you. Jerry Jeudy, Christian Kirk, those are some of my guys this season. Montgomery, I don't think gets enough. Let me know when I'm up, Cody. Monty, I think he's going to be really good. He's going to get a ton of touchdown work. I think both those backs are going to be really solid this season. Gabe Davis in the 8th, swing for the upside. I love it. Brandon Cooks in the 9th, Alan Lazard in the 10th. Then we go with some RBs, Algier, Bigsby, and Ford. These are 3 guys that have, they're one injury away from being top 10 options.
Team 2, got the CMC start, which you like. Jalen Hurts in the 2nd. I don't know that I'm personally taking the 2nd and 3rd QB in the 2nd round, but I think it's an okay price, especially late in the 2nd. Devonta Smith, a ton of upside, a nice young player. J.K. Dobbins in the 4th round, I like a lot in that spot. When you get him after Mixon, Madison, ETN, I think even with some of the contract issues and pup talk, I think Dobbins still has a lot of upside this year. Hopkins and Mike Williams got a couple of risky receivers, but again, upside. Love the Javonte Williams pick because, I've talked this quite a bit. I don't see a huge difference between Breece and Javonte's situation. I know Javonte's injury was worse, but it was sooner, and the recovery doesn't seem all that much different. And so I think there's a bit too much Javonte hate on the injury at this moment. Then Njoku, Cousins, Rondell Moore, Deonta Foreman, DJ Chark, and Dawson Knox.
I love it. And then we are are we doing a 15? Is this a 15 rounder, Cody?
Yes, it is. And real quick, they're in the 14th round. Mario grabbed Kyler Murray. I think that's a really nice pick there.
It's fantastic value, dude. He could be ready week 1, and we're just not talking about it enough.
Yep.
I mean, getting somebody like that in the 14th is
right.
It's crazy. Honestly, I wish I held off on the A-Rod pick and went for him in like the 12th because I'd be very comfortable with that.
Yep.
So another guy, I'm just going to swing for some upside here that I think has some real potential to have some boom weeks. Donovan Peoples-Jones in the 15th. I'm super in on this offense this year. Elijah Moore, I think, is going to have a breakout kind of season. He's going to be on a lot of my teams.
Yeah.
But I just really think there's going to be a massive step forward in the pass game. And I think this whole offense is going to evolve. So I'm definitely in on all these pass options. Especially
I need more
this
picks.
late.
There's several receivers I still want. I need more picks. Can you get me more picks, Robbie?
I'll trade you one of mine for some cash.
You ain't got no more.
Send me some Venmo.
You ain't got no more. No, Richie James is a guy I've been wanting to. I just want to mention he's a guy I've been wanting to grab late in drafts. I've talked this a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's semi-interesting. I couldn't really pass up Wan'Dale Robinson there, especially since I had Hyatt. So I think I got the top two guys to me that could be the wide receiver one for that team. Obviously, it could do some of the old school been around guys, but I like the upside of those two. If you can hit on one of them,
It's a really interesting wide receiver room. I'm trying to figure it out. They're all small. They're all really quick. And I was saying this yesterday when I was talking with Mario and Norton on the podcast. All these little receivers coming in, they don't really have too much size. It makes me like Darnell or
Wando.
No, not Wando.
Oh,
who am I thinking? Darren Waller. It makes me like Darren Waller so much more that they are not going out and getting a prototypical
like on the field. Yeah,
he is going to be utilized so much in the red zone.
Yeah, and Darius Slayton's got some okay size, and maybe Darius Slayton runs it back. I don't know. I'm just sick of playing the Darius Slayton game. I'm gonna bet on somebody else for this year.
You can't, right? Like you can't. Yep. When I see him, I'm just like, he's there, but I'm not too worried about it. And he's not going to be a red zone threat, in my opinion. So I think all those balls are going to go to Waller. And there's so much talk coming out of New York that they just already have some real good chemistry between Danny Dimes and Waller. So let's run through our teams, Cody.
Yeah. And you want to do your and I's teams, or you want to start going? Let's
go
keep
ahead.
Why
don't you start?
Or you want me to do me? Okay.
Do you?
So I kind of like to chat through it a little bit positionally. So my starting running backs, I'm looking at Jonathan Taylor and Aaron Jones. Feel great about that. Running back, I believe I have 2 RB1s, at least based on my rankings. I did add Dalvin Cook. He's really kind of my starting flex. There's a ton of question marks. Obviously, I don't know if the Jets is the perfect landing spot with Brees, of course. But he's an interesting player to see what happens yet. Wide receiver, I got Devontae Adams and Chris Godwin slotted at wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2. And then I've got some upside plays. I've got Pickens. I've got Jamison Williams. I got Nico Collins, Wan'Dale Robinson, Hyatt. I do have Cortland Sutton in there as well. Not a player I really like, just felt like the right player to take at that spot. Feel really good at tight end with Hawkinson. Feel good at QB with Watson. Not going to say screaming good at QB, but I'm okay with it. I like how it turned out. If I could have the Sutton pick back, I think I'd do something different there. But otherwise, I think I like how still, looking at running back as an important position turned out.
Very balanced. It's a very balanced team.
Yeah.
Let's go through mine real quick, and then we'll hit some of the guys that are in the chat that are asking us to review. So we'll go over theirs right after ours. So I went with Travis Kelce at the 1.8. I talked about it at the beginning of the stream that I could not pass up that value. I don't like doing it. I don't like taking a tight end that early. But at that position, if Kelce's there, I think it's a home run pick. I can't say no to that. And then I followed it up with 2 running backs. Again, something I don't like doing, but I think the value was just there. And I didn't love the wide receiver depth when I was picking. So when Nick Chubb at the 2.5 and Jahmyr Gibbs at the 3.8, I think they both have upside. Or I think Nick Chubb's got RB1 upside. I think Jahmyr Gibbs has top 12 upside. So if I can have 2 of those guys, I'm super interested in it. I went with.
And real quick, I want to say a note on Gibbs. So, Gibbs is another guy right around that running back RB1-2 turn. And the receivers you were looking at is, DK Metcalf, Calvin Ridley, Deebo Samuel, Keenan Allen. I don't want to say there's a hole in DK Metcalf, but there's a ton of risk in all those other guys. And so I love that you want RB there.
If I had to take a swing at one of them, I'd probably go Calvin Ridley because I
Right.
think the upside's there, but it could also fall off a cliff and then my season's tanked, right? Like it would be
It's
if I went
Metcalf for me,
Ridley.
but I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, I mean, Metcalf would have been. I just don't know if there's top,
But
12
that
upside.
said, I think Gibbs was the right pick there. I was giving you kudos. I like that grab.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you, Cody. And then I went with again, my safest play there at the wide receiver position was Keenan Allen. Again, we know what the guy can do when he's on the field and healthy, with one of the best passing quarterbacks in the league. Just stay on the field this year, and I'm looking real pretty. And then I went with a couple upside plays here. I went with Drake London at the 5'8". I love him as a player. I think he could be really good. And then I went with Marquise Brown, Jordan Addison. I think those two, Addison's going to be on the field a ton, getting a ton of routes run in a really high-powered offense, so he could be something special. And then Marquise Brown, you were talking about it. I went and got that wide receiver one for this team, and if Kyler Murray's back early enough, I think I have something pretty good there with Marquise Brown as my wide receiver 3. Then I went with the QB, Dak Prescott. We're both super high on him this season. I think he's going to have a really nice year. A couple more upside plays. Rashad Penny. Health is an issue. We know this, but when the guy's on the field, he's undeniably good. So if he stays healthy, I'm looking good. I don't anticipate him being healthy the whole season, but if I can get some good weeks out of him, I'm happy with it. And then Aaron Rodgers, I wanted to get another quarterback right in that tier where I think the upside's there. I think Aaron Rodgers has that upside with the weapons around him. Greg Dulcich is my backup tight end. Super comfortable with that. 2 more upside plays on the RB position. Kendre Miller. We know what's going on there in New Orleans. Kendre looks really good in these talks out of camp today. He looked really nice, real healthy, so I'm comfortable with that. Jeff Wilson, I think, has the potential to be the RB1 in that backfield, especially if Dalvin doesn't land there. I'm swinging for it. I'll take the risk. Yep. And then Michael Gallup and Donovan Peoples-Jones, I wanted to get some more depth at that wide receiver position.
I like the Jeff Wilson grab there. Another player with some upside that nobody likes.
Dalvin doesn't look like he's going there anymore. I think there's just some good value.
Let's chat Travis King. And as I look at his team, this is the 10 hole, aka Mario. Because I see Cam Akers, I see Garrett Wilson, I see AJ Brown.
A lot of Mario's boys on this team. So, wide receiver room is just studly. AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson, if you're a Garrett Wilson guy, which most people are at this point. Yeah.
But if you're somebody that thinks he has, top 5, top 8 upside, great grab in the second round. Then Calvin Ridley is a high risk player, but everything from camp, I saw some reports today that the rust is shaking off and he looks good. Player I've been worried about because I tend to think you can't take that much time off football, but it's sounding good. So you got to love that flex. Justin Fields, good spot to get him. Darren Waller, you talk some of the upside there, and the lack of weapons.
Yeah, like if I didn't get Kelsey there, he's my target in the 5th. Yeah, I'm trying to get him in every draft if I can.
And this is sort of your classic 0 RB team. Cam Akers, some people have him as an RB2, some people have him just outside RB2 area. So you're a little okay there. I wouldn't call it maybe 0 RB. It's kind of like 1 maybe RB and then 0 RB. But James Cook, Damian Harris, Mostert, Chase Brown, and Melvin Gordon. So, I think he's got running backs where he can float that RB2 position.
This is a very good 0 RB setup.
I agree.
Very good RB setup because you have the upside with Akers and Cook. Harris is really a safe play.
Really, between Cook and Harris, you're getting the Buffalo running back. Don't know exactly who it is. You're getting the Buffalo running back.
Yeah, and that's how you got to kind of do it a little bit. You want to make sure you get one of those RB1s on that team who's going to get the touchdown work. I personally don't think they're going to keep running Allen as much as they do inside the 5-yard line. Maybe I'm stupid. I just don't think they're going to want to keep doing that. But they do it year in and year out, so I could be wrong.
Yep. Yeah, I like it. You want to run us through the 112?
I like this team a lot. Yeah, let's run through the 112. Adam McLaughlin.
Yeah, kind of pieced together the tight end room. I actually like the Higbee and Everett grabs there late because I think they're super safe. If you're going to fade tight end, you got yourself. You're set it. One of them's going to be borderline top 12. You're going to be all right at tight end.
100%. I like Gesicki, dude. I like him a lot this season. I think he's got great upside there. And he kind of went with we don't talk about it, but like a 0 wide receiver approach here. He went CeeDee Lamb at the 112, who I am super high on. He's my wide receiver 3 this season. I'm all in on him this year. Then he went Saquon, Ken Walker, Lamar Jackson, Miles Sanders. Another guy that's one of my dudes, Miles Sanders. Like, I would be thrilled if I walked out of the draft with CeeDee Lamb and Miles Sanders.
Real quick, 3 running backs in the first 5 rounds. And I want to add a note on the Miles Sanders price here. I'm struggling with Ken Walker a little bit this year, just with some of the Charbonnet stuff and how much the team appears to want to throw the ball. I think Ken Walker is going to be okay, but I don't know that he has RB1 upside just based off of those things. But when I look at, so I actually have Miles Sanders ranked over Ken Walker personally.
Me too.
And when I look at, he got Miles Sanders 2 rounds later.
That's what
baby.
I am again. So just how my team fell to me, right? And that's how I went tight end, RB. Like, those are the guys that I try. If I don't do that, if I go prototypical with a 2 wide receivers start, something like that, I go hard for Miles Sanders. I go hard for Waller. Those are the kind of guys that I'm focusing in on. It just didn't fall to me with how my board kind of came to me. But I love it. And then you come with Michael Pittman. Again, all the upside in the world is just, can the quarterback play be good enough?
Yep.
And then you go Mike Evans in the 7th is insane. If I get it, I completely understand why, because I'm fading him. I'm not touching him really this season. But it's just crazy to see him going at the back end
there. Too good of a football player.
Yeah, and then you go Kadarius Toney. Again, we know what happened. He's got that knee injury, but in the 8th round, if you can get him in the back half of the season, it's a good play. Zay Flowers, another really high upside play. Jonathan Mingo, he's got a lot of the guys on here that I love. Like, Jonathan Mingo is one of my favorite players, and he's got Seattle's backup, Zach Charbonnet. So that's a great 1-2 punch. He's got the Seattle backfield locked up.
Yep.
And then he goes with his tight ends.
One thing I notice here, and I like this isn't about, because I think CeeDee Lamb's a stud. I think Saquon's a stud. I like the running backs. I like the Lamar Jackson. I like all of it. That wide receiver 2 position, I think he's going to be able to fill it fine. But 100%. For me, it's just a stretch of guys that I struggle with a little bit. And it's just because of where in the draft he was looking for wide receivers. It's not that he picked the wrong player. It's just a rough stretch of receivers there in the,
it falls off a cliff.
Really kind of the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. I don't like that section a whole lot, especially if you're trying to still find maybe starter. So not on him. I just don't love it. No, that section.
It falls hard, doesn't it? In those middle rounds, like, the wide receiver position gets super thin. I think the steal here, a really big steal for me, is Jahan Dotson in the 8th. Like, I think that's an insane value. He's someone that I've been targeting. If I can get him in the 8th, even the 7th, like, I'm really if he's my wide receiver 3, I'm super comfortable with that.
Yeah. Yep. All makes total sense there with Adam's note.
I think they slowed down Allen too. Yeah. I'm assuming he's talking about Josh Allen.
Right.
I just don't think they're going to want to keep giving him those tough yards. I don't know. You pay your quarterback, you get him there. I know that's how good he makes a lot of his money doing that, kind of running inside the 5. But there's only so many times, even though he's that big and stuff like that, like, there's only so many hits a quarterback can take.
I want to talk Willie's team here for a minute, if you don't mind. Lumpty Dumpty.
Yeah.
I think what Willie did, and I'm going to jump around a little here, and we'll get to some of the others. I like the value, the price that he got some of these players at. So I look at Amari Cooper, and I know you're high on Amari Cooper, and he took the next receivers taken after him were Judy, Hopkins, Christian Watson. Cooper's clearly a step above those guys. And even looking at the guys taken half a dozen picks before, Deebo Samuel, Keenan Allen, Calvin Ridley, I think you can make the argument Cooper's right there with those guys. I like that Cooper spot.
I got love for Coop this year.
Right. So. Right. I look at the DeAndre Swift pick, and I know he's and I'll say Rachaad White as well. These are 2 players right around that RB24, that RB23 spot. But if you see them as RB2s, you just got them in the 6th and 7th round. Who's getting guys they view as RB2s in the 6th and 7th round? That's fabulous. If you like those players, I personally like them, but I know some people.
Even Antonio Gibson, right?
Agreed.
Yeah. A lot of people have him ranked inside the top 24, especially in PPR formats.
6th, 7th, and 8th round. Good value and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not loving the running back position, but he's
Sure.
bulked up everywhere else. Where
Yep.
if Kyle Pitts has to hit for this team, Kyle Pitts has to be a top 3 tight end.
Right.
But
I'd
if
probably
he
like to
does
see
hit,
one more running back if you're going to go 0 RB.
yeah,
One more RB3 or better. Because I'm not going to look, I don't personally look at Elijah Mitchell that way. So I think he's got 3 of them. I think he's okay. But I guess I like the value he got on these players. And when you've got Cooper, Olave, Jamar Chase, Josh Allen, and Kyle Pitts, I think you'll figure out the RB position. It looks pretty good otherwise. Thanks, Mario.
Great point, Mario. I low-key love every player in the draft. I do. I like how, I mean, yeah, I like how this kind of formed. There's some swings for the running back position. Pitts has to hit, and 2 of these RBs have to hit. So there's a lot that needs to happen.
Right.
But if it does, he's sitting pretty with his wide receivers and Josh Allen. So
yeah, just some good values there. I like the values.
100%.
Curious question for you on your draft. I'm curious if this one stung or you were totally okay with how it played out. Because there was a point, I think it was in the 5th round. It's when you took Drake London, which I'm not really in on Drake London this year with the QB play, Kyle Pitts being there, how much they're going to run the ball. Just not my cup of tea for this year. It's not about the player, it's about the situation. And your lover boy went the pick before you. Would you have went DJ Moore or Drake London?
100%.
Was it DJ Moore?
Yeah, that was auto.
Yeah, okay. I figured that one stung when I saw it, but we were just too busy.
Yeah, when DJ Moore went the pick before me,
that's a dagger.
I was there were 2 guys I was keying in on at that spot for the upside was DJ Moore and Christian Watson. When I was planning this out on the comeback, those were the 2 guys I was really looking at. I'm not as super in on Terry McLaurin this season. That's why I went with Drake London. I think the ball is going to be spread out a little bit more in the Washington offense. So that's why I kind of went where I went with Drake London over Terry McLaurin. But yeah, DJ Moore getting sniped right before me. That one, a little kick in the chiclets,
Yeah, kicking the chiclets. I love it. Yeah. Cool, man.
Cody, anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think I feel pretty good about it. I think I'm going to keep endeavoring into this world of not 0 wide receiver, not by any means, because I like that I got Devontae, but being willing to invest in RB when other people really don't seem to want to do it much this year.
Yeah, dude, I think it's a great it's a great exercise for us to do on the pod, just to kind of see how these play itself out. Coming into this, I was not expecting to get Kelsey to fall to me or go RB after. So it was interesting to see how my team was going to kind of line up after the fact.
Yeah.
So it's a really unique setup, right? Tight end RB. It's a really unique setup that doesn't happen too often. But I do like some of the values that I got out of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the more we keep doing these, we can kind of key in on, the 10th pick. This is kind of the route we want to go.
That's what I was trying to say. It's so position.
This is the
it's so draft position for me. 100% agree. That 11 hole is a spot that I really like because I think I can get Taylor or Barkley and Adams or Lamb. And though that any mixture of those 4 players, I'm good. You slide me back to the 8 or 9 hole, or sorry, the 9 or 10 hole. And I start looking receiver again, unless Taylor slides to there. I start thinking, okay, do I do Diggs and Garrett Wilson? Do I do Diggs and Devontae Adams or AJ Brown and Devontae Adams? So your draft position is going to play into this a ton. Like the right player has to be there. So when I'm saying like, hey, I kind of like still loading up at running back, only when it's in a running back hole, if that makes sense, where it's a player that I have as an RB3, RB4 that I can get in the second round.
It does. Yeah.
I got to do
it. And
I
think that's, especially kind of the first, I would say 2 or 3 rounds, you can really map out where you want to go. And then after that, it's kind of how the board falls to you, that kind of stuff. Even though I had a curveball in this draft, I wasn't ready for what kind of went down. But that's my biggest thing, right? Go with your rankings and take the value when it comes your way, and don't worry about it. Like let everything kind of else fall into place, because it will fall into place. Like if there's a really heavy wide receiver run and you get a couple really nice running backs that you like I did, then there's going to be a running back run after that, and that's where you can hit your wide receivers. You know
That's
what I mean?
exactly right. And
Hit
so a
your
guy
wide
like
receivers
Keenan
when-
Allen, who's a staple, is there for you then because of that. A guy like,
Yes.
DK Metcalf was another choice. No, sorry, that was with the Gibbs. But the other receivers, Amari Cooper was there, I think. Those guys are available then because that gets catapulted or running backs take off.
100%. But this was fun, dude. I love doing these. Hopefully, maybe we'll
Got a
try to
Mario
make
question
this
here.
a thing, dude.
This one's easy for me. Easy peasy.
It's got to be London, I think, in Dynasty.
It's London for sure.
Even though I love DJ Moore, I think
He's gonna change.
it's closer to me.
Yeah, I can tell you were thinking about.
It's closer to me, but in Dynasty, I'm still leaning Drake London.
Yep.
Even with Pitts there too, which is weird because Pitts would hold back Drake London enough, right? DJ Moore is kind of the only
until
guy
they find
there.
a quarterback. 2 weapons is
That's
sustainable.
the thing, man. If they had a quarterback, Drake London would be a top 12 wide receiver for me.
Bold, my friend. But I like the call. I mean, I think it's a good player. That's not meant to be a knock.
Yeah. All right, guys. This was fun. I love doing these. Hopefully we'll keep these coming maybe once a week. Cody, hopefully every time me and you we could do this because I love doing it with you. Mario sucks
I know.
at these.
I can rip these out.
So we'll keep doing them. For Mudcat Cody, I'm Rob. Thanks for joining the Dad Bod Squad, and we will see you next time.
Thank you for watching our episode. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
If you aren't already following us on Twitter, check us out at DadBodFS.
We'll be posting all of our best clips and videos to all of our social media: TikTok, Instagram, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube. You can find us on there at DadBod Fantasy Squad.
Lastly, if you'd rather just listen, we make sure we post our audio of each episode on all the major streaming platforms. Stick with us all season long so together we can count our trophies and not our calories.